All right, when we left off, we were talking about count. So I got sidetracked into talking. Well, not really sidetracked, but got focused on talking about aggregate functions in general and count specifically. That I kind of want to go over some more of the aggregate functions you have available to you. So the next obvious choice is probably sum. You need to use this with a numerical column. So sum star, for instance, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. You're just, what are you summing in that case? So let me show you what I mean. Let's look. This is left over from previously, by the way, so probably don't want to necessarily go about what's down there. But select star from products, just so we can look. There's a quicker way to do this too, I know. But it's good practice. So see how we have these quantities on hand for different products? If we wanted to ask how many individual units of anything we have, how would we answer that question? It sounds like counting something, and you kind of are, but it's not. You don't want to use the count aggregate function because that just tells you how many records you have that are not null for the column that you select. So if we want to add all these up, we want to sum. So just use the sum keyword and put in the column heading that you want to sum up the values for. And notice you'll get one result. Seems fairly reasonable. I know there's like a couple of hundred and somethings plus a 200 and something, and then some other extraneous ones. That's already 500 plus. So you could like double check the math if you want. I have no reason to doubt it. But keep in mind you want to use this on a numerical column. If you try to use it on something that's not numerical, you'll get an error. If you haven't, you should always try things like this too, just to see what happens, just so you know where the boundaries are. Like if it has some weird way to handle it. In this case, it's just an error. So there's a couple other ones you need to know about that the lab goes over. There's Control Z back a little bit. There's max. You can see how that might come in handy. It's just going to give you the top value for that column. Same min. Some obvious. So you do actually use that in the lab, but that's a little heads up about what you might use. And then also, this one's very handy. AVG for average. So the average amount of quantity you have for each product is 56. Obviously, we have a lot of 4s and 5s and 8s and 15s, but we also have a few hundreds and 200s, so that's what it comes out to on average. That covers all the basic aggregate functions that you're probably going to encounter in this lab. There's more than this, but these do the lion's share of the work, especially count, sum, and average. Those are used a lot. I haven't actually used min and max a whole lot, but I can see how they might be useful. Only 3 minutes in, so I think I'm going to start this next part, and it has to do with group by. So let me show you what this means. So you might say, okay, I see that we have these counts for all these different products, but what if I wanted to get a sum? Actually, that doesn't make sense. Hold on. All right, I'm not starting over. I had to think of a scenario real quick, and how you would use group by. So you can see how you would sum up everything and you get one value at the end, or you average everything, that's going to give you one value for these numerical columns. And if you count how many records you have, that gives you one value. What if you wanted to know, however, like how many products you have from each vendor? So this is where group by comes in handy. Let me show you how that works. So the way you do group by is you start with the aggregate function you want to do. Like I just want to count things. So let's do count star. Then the table that you're looking at, plus what is the thing you want to know, group by, I mean just literally group by. I want to know by vendor how many products I have. So how many products do I have for each vendor? So what you would do is group by, in this case, the code. And this is what you would get as a result. You'll get more than one result. So what you need to know here is that each one of these results is a different vendor. So you might say, how do we know which one's which? I'm not going to be cheesy and say I'm glad you asked that, but here's what you do. The thing that you're grouping by is something, and you can group by several things, by the way, but we'll stick with just one because that's all you're about to probably see in the labs. The thing that you're grouping by, you can use in your query, in your select part of your query, I should say. So I'm grouping by V code, so I can select the V code and count. And not VCode, V code. And it'll show you the code and then how many you have of that code. Notice that null's in here. So what we're saying is there are two things that don't have vendors, but vendor number 23119 has four products. We have 4 products from that vendor, is a better way of saying it. What if we only wanted to see the vendors that we had more than like three or more, we'll put it that way. This is where having comes in. So having is like a where, but for group by. So having having count, what you do is repeat the thing that you're doing in the aggregate part. So having count star greater than 3. And that will only show me the vendors that have more than 3. I did say greater than or equal to, 3 or more. So there's 3 or more. There's only these 2 vendors. That's the question you might ask. Like, here are my vendors that give me like the most stuff. And again, these are different products. Now, your query has to get a little bit more advanced to like see what those particular products are. But for now, this is where we're going to stay. Now, you might ask this question, and this would lead, I think, into another video. I'm at 7 minutes, so I'm going to start with this on the next video. But you might ask the question, okay, I see the V code, but who is the vendor? So I'll answer that question in the next video.